Hey, greetings everyone from our home to yours. I hope that this finds you safe and well. Happy Sunday. Today our scripture passages come from Matthew chapter 22 verses 15 through 22. And this is the story of Jesus telling the Pharisees to give to Caesar what is Caesar. So our passages for today, in them we find that the religious leaders of the day are once again trying to trap Jesus up by asking him some questions that they think will get him into trouble theologically. And the question they asked is it right to pay taxes to Caesar or not? Jesus calls them hypocrites and asks them why they are trying to trap him, and then he asks them to show him a coin used for paying taxes. They show him the coin, and he says, so whose face and title are stamped on it? And they say, Caesar's. And Jesus simply told them to give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar and give to God what belongs to God. Now, the Bible records that Jesus' reply to them amazed them, and they went away. I personally think that they dropped their head in shame first and then went away because they were shocked at what Jesus actually said. So why was what Jesus said so amazing? Why did it shock them? I mean, it probably literally just floored them. I mean, jaws dropping, just, oh, mic drop, but why? Well, they were trying to trap Jesus, and they were trying to get him embroiled in some theological dilemma, and they wanted to trap him up and get him into this discussion about the law and the meaning, and they wanted to get, because at that time rabbis would have their own different view or interpretation of the law, and they wanted him to get wrapped up in this argument so that they could trap him up and then find him guilty of heresy so that they get rid of him. So with this as the backdrop of them wanting to embroil him in this really deep theological conversation, Jesus says, whose picture's on the coin? Well, then go and pay the tax. Believe it or not, I've had that same conversation, and I've talked to people that believe the Bible gives them room not to pay taxes. And then they get a little disappointed when you use this scripture and quote it back to them, and then they try to argue so that they get you to, they're trying to get you to believe that what they're thinking and that Jesus is just saying pay the tax, and they're trying to get you to believe that that's not what Jesus was really trying to say. And they try to, throw some things in there and do some theological gymnastics to make their viewpoint work in that scripture, and it doesn't. And because the truth of the matter is, really, Jesus said, go and pay the tax. So what's the point of this? Well, I believe that not every question in your walk with Jesus needs a biblical passage to quote. I know that sounds terrible, right? We're Christians, and the Bible is the basic instructions before leaving earth. But sometimes there are things that are just such common sense that we don't need to quote a Bible scripture about it. Now, I got it. You're going to get mad at me for saying that. But not every question about life and faith needs a deep theological answer. If you have a flat tire, go and change the flat tire. You don't need to quote a Bible verse. You don't need to, proclaim to the tire to air itself. You just go change the flat tire. Not every question you have about following Jesus needs you to pull out the Greek lexicon and start parsing the Greek verbs in the passage in the original languages, because sometimes it's just as simple as go and pay the tax. And I'm not trying to oversimplify it. And you might say, oh, I don't want to pay my taxes and this and that and have multiple reasons for not paying your taxes. Okay, then go vote. Go get involved in your community. Go find a way to change the law so that you don't have to pay the tax or the amount of taxes that you're doing. But pay the taxes because it's the law. Don't go and read this scripture to the lawmakers or some other scripture to try and get out of paying the taxes. Just pay the tax. You see, I think what Jesus was frustrated about and why his answer, made the Pharisees walk away was because it's not really a spiritual issue. Everything is spiritual when you're a Christian, and everything is about following Christ and serving God. But we live in a world, and this is a world we live in issue. There are problems that are just worldly, like you got a flat tire. I don't think God did that to you. I think it's because, in my case, I ran over a bolt and it punctured my tire really badly. Yep, that happened last week. But there are some things that are spiritual problems. Taxes are a world problem. And that's why the leaders were amazed when Jesus said it. The answer was just so simple. It made them look foolish because they had to ask. Give to Caesar what is Caesar's, give to God what is God. That's it. So may you go this week. Give to Caesar what is Caesar, give to God's what is God's. And just know that sometimes life is pretty simple. And just be blessed knowing that it is that simple. Grace and peace to you. God bless you. Have a great week.